Hi, this is Reasons Are Several, a weekly podcast where everyone is welcome, unless you're a cock. My name is Matt. With me is Neil. Hi, Neil.
I'm doing very well. Cock, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty cocky.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
I know how much you love that word, so I like to fit it in. I like to fit in that cock wherever I can.
I do not like that word. Not when talking about anything other than the male hen. Well, I guess the male chicken.
Male chicken.
Yeah.
That's the only time you use it, the only context?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even think I could text that
What
word.
if you went to Central Oregon Community College? What would you call it?
I would call it my glistening man pole.
You wouldn't call it cock?
No.
Just for fun.
No.
All right.
I'd call it kook.
Kook?
I'd put one of those little, what is it, umlauts or...
You're going to sneak an umlaut in there?
I ain't gonna sneak. I'm a jamming in there.
Oh my God. Get that
There's no
umlaut out of here.
sneaking. There's like right in your face.
God, you should start referring to your cock as an umlaut.
It looks more like an umlaut than it does a cock. I'll tell you right now. Oh. What the hell is this guy doing?
I don't know. Fucking chainsaw back. Okay.
If I go back there and my fence is gone, I'm gonna be pissed.
I got all the firewood I need now.
He's like, thanks.
We're on a wood burning ban right now, sir.
Yeah.
Matt, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I was listening to an audiobook. I don't want to say which audiobook it was because, it was a good book. I enjoyed it. But something interesting happened during the audiobook where this person was describing a group of people. Let's say it was like the group of people like a CEO would surround him or herself with, right? So maybe a personal assistant, maybe a scheduler. I mean, like big time, huge, powerful president of a company, maybe president of a country, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the book, the person's describing and saying, his whole staff was there. There was his, it was a him in the book, his, water bottle carrier. And there was his jockstrap sniffer. And there was his laundry folder. And then there was his black speechwriter. And I was like, wait, what? What?
Worded exactly that way?
Pretty much. I think it was older black speechwriter. I think was how it was
So a little more descriptive.
Yeah. But no description on anybody else. Now, when I'm reading a book or listening to a book, right, audiobook or whatever, I like those descriptions because if somebody says, oh, there was his speechwriter and there was his jock sniffer, I don't know if that's male, female, transgender, older, younger. I mean, if somebody says, oh, it was his jock sniffer was a 19-year-old Malaysian woman who grew up in the suburbs, then I'm like, oh, I get the visual,
Yeah, because a book is painting a picture that you don't see otherwise.
Right.
So it's just giving you a little bit more description about who the person is.
But it was weird that the only person that was described was the black guy. Everyone else in the story apparently
and just
is white.
described as straight up black.
Just older black guy.
Right.
Yeah, not like really dark skin or light skin, blue, nothing, nothing. I was like, that just seems really weird to me.
But don't you feel like this is something, so this is more of an issue when it comes to people telling you a story versus reading a book. So the common thing is you'll be talking to somebody and they'll say, so I went to the store and I had to get some, lunch meat, and I went there and this black lady helped me. And it has absolutely nothing to do with anything. There's zero reason for you to care or need to know the ethnicity of the person in the story, but they only throw it in that manner. So that's why, like me and my friends that I talked about last week, at the Sausage Fest, we will often, as a joke, like when you're telling a story, we'll be like, yeah, so I went to get my car fixed. Guy comes out, white guy.
Yeah.
But it's always a white guy.
Right. My dad is terrible with that. Was at the store, and then this Asian lady was helping me, and I'm like,
yeah, nothing to do with anything. Doesn't matter.
Would make sense if he was like, I was at a store that only has ever had guys work there. And then there's this freaking Asian lady there. Then it makes a little more sense because it's like so weird, but it wasn't pointing out that she was an Asian lady. It was pointing out that she wasn't a white guy, let's say,
Exactly. Well, and that's what it always is.
Right.
It's always, if they're non-white, then these fucking people,
those people,
they feel the need to add that description, and it's just so hilarious to me that they do it all the time. I mean, I can't. Every time it happens, it just makes me cringe. They'll be like, so yeah, this black guy comes up, and I'm like, I'm going to give him 60 seconds to continue the story where it makes sense that they said that it was a black guy.
And again, it's not a description as far as if I said, hey, you're like, Neil, I'm thinking about buying a Ford truck. And I'm like, okay, cool. Go, my buddy who works at the dealership, go find him. And you're like, cool. How am I going to know it's him?
What does
He's
he
a
look
6'8" black dude. You're not going to miss him. You know, that makes a little more sense. Like if I said someone to go look for you, I'm like, he's a tall white guy. You'll see him. And even
handsome. Please throw
even
in handsome
that, if you can say like, hey, just go ask for Glenn or just go ask for Mock, you know. But but it's always interesting, not always, but it's oftentimes interesting to me when people, and it's like you said, it's never like, oh yeah, I was at the bar and there's this white guy helping me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's, you know, I mean, I'm curious to know, like, if you lived in a country in Africa and you weren't in South Africa, if it would be like, oh my God, dude, I was at the store. White guy was helping me. You know?
Maybe.
I mean, but it's just weird to me. But it really stuck out in this book because it was like, oh yeah, jock sniffer, bottle holder, this, that, and his black speechwriter.
Yeah, that's like, weird. Wow. Especially weird in the book, like you said, where they're not describing anyone else. Why would you say that?
Yeah, and so again, bizarre. I like in books like when they just the main character looks like, because then in my head I want to know. Mm-hmm. You know, it's going to give a different visual look. Obviously, if it's a 5'1" Asian guy versus a 6'8" black woman, the story's going to look different in my head.
Right.
You know, so I want to know. But yeah, it stuck out as me. But yeah, it's yeah. Oh yeah,
white guy.
I was in the store, and this white guy freaking helped me. Can you believe it?
I want you to tell every story that way from now on. Mm-hmm. You have to do that when you do anything you tell, like you tell Annalise. Yeah, I went to go pick up our food. White guy comes out.
Yeah,
hands her our food.
Yeah, went to Target, and was checking out. White lady.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so that was just kind of stuck out. It stuck in my craw a bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Matt.
Yes.
What's your feeling on all the different pronouns now?
You mean like he, she?
There's he, she, they, them, ze, z, zir.
Right.
Does it bother you?
Probably don't want to say it.
I don't know. There might be somebody out there who's like, nah.
Could be a little offensive.
Does it bother you? Like if somebody coming up to you and you said, oh, I think she, and somebody said, oh, no, they go by Z instead. Would you be offended? Or
if they're correcting me on my use of the pronoun to describe them?
Well, if they don't describe themselves that way.
Okay.
Like if you said, like if you looked at my sister and you're like, oh, he, and I said, no, dude, that's a she.
Does that bother me if you correct me?
No, that they are a she.
No.
So would it bother you if you said, "Oh, she," and I'm like, "No, that's Z." It's not here, right?
I don't think that really bothers me. I think the thing that maybe is a little more tough to handle is like I had a teacher in high school, and he didn't like it if you said his wife. That's not my wife. I do not possess her. She's the woman I'm married to. And you're like, okay, guy.
Right.
Like I understand. Right. But can we just make this easier?
Right.
It's okay to call her your wife.
Right. But you know what's funny too is I've heard people say, not my wife, my partner. And I'm like, isn't it the word my that you should be upset with, not the wife or partner?
The wife thing is what tips him off?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my husband, white guy.
But it's not. Your husband's
That's
like,
my white husband. Wait, does that mean there's another one?
That'd be funny. Husband's actually Japanese. Like, oh no, that doesn't work.
This doesn't make any sense.
I've come across lately. I've read some articles in the news of people freaking out because people want to be identified not as he or she.
So give me a straight up example, like of what was in that story or something you've experienced.
Like some people want to be called they. Not he or she. Like they're gender fluid, so they don't view themselves as a male or a female. They're somewhere in between.
If that's because of that.
Yeah.
If it's because they don't want to be identified genderly.
Yeah.
as one or the other.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying more just to be an asshole.
No, I'm sorry. I maybe I started it incorrectly, the conversation correctly. No, more like somebody doesn't identify as these two things that a lot of people we've used forever.
I think we can all be sensitive enough to allow people to be called what they want to be called.
Well,
I don't think that's a big deal.
No, and I didn't think it would be a big deal for you, but I've been reading lately how for some people they're like losing their minds over it, and I'm thinking
snowflakes,
right? And I'm thinking, and it's usually people that call other people snowflakes that are losing their mind.
Of course.
And I thought, well, when you meet somebody, you will ask like, "Oh, hey, I'm Neil." You know, put out your hand or high five or whatever, not anything, you know, and you'll say, "Oh, it's good to meet you. I'm Matt." If you were to say, "Oh, it's good to meet you. I'm freaking Power Penguin," and I'd say like, you know, "Excuse me," and you're like, "I like to be called Power Penguin," I'd be like, "Okay, I'll call you Power Penguin." Whatever, I don't care.
PP.
No big deal. And so it's that thing to me. Like if I meet someone, I'm like, "Oh, it's really nice to meet you." And if I say, if I'm introducing this new friend to somebody else, and I'm like, "Oh, this is Power Penguin, you know, he lives in Mazatlan," and then Power Penguin. If Power Penguin goes, "Oh no, Neil, actually I go by they," I'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool, no problem."
Well, and if it's someone in that situation, probably easier to say they than he. I mean, she. I mean, what. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Well, even
it's
if
a little more confusing anyway, it makes it easier.
Sure. Well, and even if the person stereotypically looked like what I thought either a he or a she would look like, but as soon as they said no, I prefer they. That's fine. Like if I said, "Hey, Matthew," and you're like, "I prefer Matt."
I prefer Your Highness.
Your Royal Highness. To me, it seems like we do it with people's names all the time. Oh, my name's Tony, but everybody calls me T.
But people get mad because it's like part of just standard speech, like in a sentence, because pronouns are used for everyone.
Right.
So now you're trying to be special, and instruct people on how to use the proper pronoun to describe you.
And it fries my tree.
I think that's, I don't understand why people.
Why do you care so much?
Well, here's the thing.
How about just call them by their name? How about that?
That would be an easier way to do it. You never have to use the pronoun. Just call them by their name.
This is
Power
Matt.
Penguin.
This is Power Penguin. Power Penguin lives in Mazatlan. Power Penguin's really awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to say something that's going to sound ridiculous because of some of the shit that I bitch about on the show. But typically, I'm more of a person of like, why do you care so much about this?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in life that are like that, where it's like people get so bent out of shape about how other people are living their lives.
Right.
And it's like, why don't you worry about your fucking self? You know, who gives a shit? Does it really affect you? Now, that being said, I do realize I bitch about people.
Right.
But it's more just for fun and venting, joking purposes. Right.
And I mean, you're very respectful of who the people are and who they want to be. So like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that if a millennial came up and said like, "I'm a millennial and I don't like it that you say snowflake because it hurts my feelings," I think you'd generally be like, "Oh, man or woman or whatever, whoever you'd be like, the point wasn't to hurt your feelings. I was just having fun talking about it." And you probably wouldn't call them a snowflake. You'd be like,
"It depends.
All right, fair enough."
Is it a white guy?
Probably. More than likely.
I'm going to stick to my guns then on that one. But anybody else? Yes, I'm going to back off.
Yeah, but it's just been interesting in hearing it or reading about it in the news, or people just freaking out. And then I was listening to NPR. Sometimes they have these little like, I don't know what you want to call them, like mini speeches. They have a name for it, but I can't think of it now, where they, it's like a perspective, a review from, and it's like 3 minutes long, and someone just says, "I remember when I was growing up." It's a story from their life. And there was this young person who was talking about how they don't identify right now as male or female. They feel very, very gender fluid, and they like to be referred to as they. Not he, she. And this person goes on and very eloquent, very nice, and not stepping on anyone's toes, and even saying how, "I understand it takes people a while to get used to it. I'm very comfortable with telling somebody, oh no, just they is fine. I prefer they," or whatever the person's name is, blah blah blah. And it gets done, and then the radio host goes, "This was a perspective brought to you by," whatever the person's name was, "Charlie. He lives in blah, 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 blah." And he da, 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 da. And I was like, oh.
Just immediately fuck it up.
Brutal.
That's pretty fucking funny.
So
I got no issues. You want to be called a certain
Power
way,
Penguin.
pronoun wise,
Yeah.
I don't really. That's fine.
I don't
That's your
think it
business. It's fine with me. And like you said, the easy way out is just to call them by their name. Then you have to
Right.
fucking if you don't want to sink to that level,
Right.
then you can just call them by their fucking name.
And if you're confused, you can always just ask.
That too.
Most people are not going to get upset if they don't fit in a stereotype. You know, I mean, I know some people like will freak out if like Annalise gets asked her ethnicity every now and then because she doesn't have a distinct look. And I'm like, I think it's cool that people ask and don't assume they're cute. You know, they're like, you know, where are you from? Where's your family from? And it's a, you know, so if it's like, oh, if I said, oh, he's over there, and somebody said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't like to go by he, I'm going to say, well, tell me what you want to be called. I'll call you that. Power Penguin?
Well,
I'm just going to start calling everyone Power Penguin.
You know why they ask Annalise?
Because she's
So that when they're telling the story later,
they're like,
they can go
Indian.
Native American gal.
Yeah. Native American gal.
I just want to make sure I get this right when I'm
Right.
describing you
Yeah.
later in my story unnecessarily.
Yeah, the person's like, I feel really bad now just calling everybody non-white that I can't relate to. So I'd really like
Not
to know.
a white gal
Yeah,
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
that was I was just curious. It just kind of threw me for a loop.
And hey, if
people
you're
get so
worried about
worked
it,
up
the,
about
the
it.
beauty is if you're pissed about having to say they or them, it's real easy to just go, fuck them.
That's
See?
right.
That works.
That's it too.
You
And
can say fuck her, fuck him.
it's the same thing the other way. Like if someone's very adamant about, no, I want to be called he, fine, I'll call you he. That's cool. He's
whatever.
He's a jackhole.
Right.
Okay with that?
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of not, knowing which pronoun to use, let's talk some Star Wars. How'd you enjoy Solo?
I have not seen it yet.
God damn it, man. What is your problem?
Busy.
It's no excuse. It's a 2-hour movie.
Right. That's 2 hours.
Get the fuck out there.
Productive
You know what you can do?
people don't
You
go
know
to
what
movies.
you can do? Nobody will say a word. Just take your fucking video camera along and film it as a reaction video of you guys watching.
Oh
Solo.
my God.
That
Yes.
could be your post that week.
I mean, I'm going to see it. It's
Are
not like
you?
I'm not going to see it. Of course.
Are you going to see it in a theater?
Define theater.
Well, I don't mean your house. I mean like
Oh.
a proper theater where you go and sit down and eat popcorn.
Maybe I'll
Or-
see it. Maybe I'll see it this weekend.
Do they still show it at the ranch?
No.
They don't?
Annalise could probably get them to show it for us.
Yeah, fucking make that shit happen.
Probably, yeah. But then we'll be
That
alone and I
theater
can't have
is
popcorn.
that theater is the tits, man. Go watch it in that theater.
Right. Some people would say it's the balls.
You could say that too. Whatever your fancy is. I don't care.
All right. I'm in. I'm going to
Please
see
go
it.
do it.
I will.
Okay. So now we're going to do a full breakdown of Solo.
Okay. Fair enough.
Just
I
as
think
a
I know
reminder,
a little bit
2 on
about
3
it.
pod episode 25. What?
I think he flies a plane. I think he's got a good buddy named Lando. I
That's
think he has
true.
a really cool dog.
Yep. Big dog. Big dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he likes girls.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's somewhat of a space cowboy.
Pretty arrogant.
Smuggler type. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a big fan of carbonite.
Makes up his own rules, flies by the seat of his pants. Does not like carbonite.
Tomato, tomato.
Anyway, I don't want to go through Solo, but I did want to say that I was curious what your feeling is on this because,
Oh, I like it when you worry about my feelings. Thank
well,
you,
I am
Matt.
worried about your feelings, but they're making these offshoot movies. I really enjoyed Rogue One. I think you did as well.
Very much so.
This one I enjoyed as well, and
I believe I will also.
and there are some mixed responses to it. I think, but certainly the box office is not good. I mean, I know
No.
that we were talking about this with Annalise, and she's saying, yeah, but it's making X number of dollars. It's making a lot of money, but it's not clearing much because
No.
and compared to the other Star Wars films, it pales in comparison. And I don't know why.
They're obviously not going to lose money, but it's not a blockbuster. It's
Yeah,
just
I mean, it's
a
gonna, like,
solid
break
Disney
even.
movie.
Yeah. And so it makes you wonder several things. One is why? Like, why do people just shitting on it? Do they feel like it was unnecessary? Were they worried about Harrison Ford being played by Solo being played by someone else other than Harrison Ford? Or are they still pissed off about The Last Jedi? I don't know what it is.
I can give you my ideas on it. and I have
Give me
a
your ideas,
few.
but I will say this.
Okay.
I've seen a number, and you're a guy who floats around on YouTube.
Yes.
But I see shit on YouTube all the time with these dudes. Some dudes who have like huge subscription numbers,
Yeah.
like boycott Solo, don't go. Kathleen Kennedy sucks. This has got, all this stuff. These people are just fucking filled with hate, and I don't get it at all.
Yeah, that I don't get, but sometimes I think that's just
for attention,
making noise. Yeah, that's just to say something.
Yeah, give me some views.
So here's my feeling on Solo and some of the offshoots slash spin-offs for Star Wars.
Okay.
One, I don't really think of Rogue One as a spin-off in the sense that we didn't know a lot of the characters going in, and we didn't have to, it was its own separate story that could have been its own movie had Star Wars never even happened.
Right.
So I don't view that. It is a spin-off, but I don't, I think as I explain my other points, it'll make more sense.
It's in the story arc, but it's not the same characters that you're used to.
Right.
Yep. I got
you. Then my issue with Solo is such an iconic character to the Star Wars franchise. I didn't think that was the best one to start off with this spin-off, Boba Fett, Han Solo, Chewbacca, whoever the hell they want to do. I didn't think Solo was a good start because Harrison Ford is Solo. And I think it's hard for people to think let's go look at a different version of Solo in a time before we already knew what happened, when it's not tied into Rogue One. I mean, if they would have had Solo in Rogue One as some kind of just happened to...
Oh, like a cameo?
I don't know, something, it would have tied it in a little more. Okay, that and the fact that Han Solo just freaking died.
Whoa. Does everybody know that?
No. The fact that he just died.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been no huge separation. All of a sudden you're like, oh, people are dealing with is he really dead? I can't believe. I mean, there was all these theories on, did we really see him die?
Because he fell off. Mm-hmm.
Is he really gone? This and that. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's the movie about him when he was younger. To me, it kind of it's almost like, oh, so did that death scene not matter that much? Or is this just a money grab? Or do you not realize what an iconic character this is? I think, now this is just my theory. I don't think that Disney or anybody who creates these movies would ever do anything to purposely make their characters look bad. But it just seemed like it was just a bad, when I heard they were making Solo, it was like, oh, very cool. Then when I saw Solo die in the movie, I'm like, oh, this is not a good idea. This is not when to release this movie. They should have done frickin' Boba Fett first.
Well, first of all, I don't think Boba Fett should have his own movie.
Oh, well, he should.
I think that's a character that he would make sense as a role player in a movie. He is not his own movie.
There is the interesting things too. I was talking with somebody about Boba Fett and Chewbacca, because it's so neat how you don't really see them do much in the movies. Chewbacca, roars a lot, runs around and shoots a couple people and flies a plane, but he doesn't do a ton. I know he does a lot more in Solo, but he doesn't do a ton. Boba Fett, same thing. But in your head, as a Star Wars fan, everybody thinks they know exactly who Boba Fett is and what he does when we don't see him, in his little universe. Same thing with Chewie. It's like, oh, Chewie's a badass and this and that and blah, 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 blah. So I can see where people would say, let's not make these their own movies because our imagination has already done it. But because we don't know these things, those worlds are totally open. You can do crazy stuff with them and you'd be like, oh, I didn't know that's exactly how Boba Fett became this and did that. And if it's a really good story, it could be a really good story that has nothing again to do with what Boba Fett did in the Star Wars movies.
Okay, but
it ties in. Solo, you can't do that. Everybody knows who Solo is.
They know who he is at a later age. So this is their opportunity to tell you where he started from, what he was like when he was younger, and how he got there.
But wait a minute, because we saw him also as a younger person.
As a 30-year-old.
And then we saw him grow old, and then we saw him die, and then you introduce a movie going, oh, this is him before any of that happened.
Sure, but you know much more about Luke from that kind of development age than you do, and also with Leia, than you do with Han. So there was a gap of time there to be covered, and considering who he was and all the adventures he must have gone on, there's a lot of stuff that could be,
Again, I'll say I was excited they were going to make the movie. I think they released it at the wrong time.
So you think it's just too soon?
I think with the gravity of Han Solo's death. Yeah, to me, it just felt like it
because Boba Fett died in 1983.
Right.
But then they show him as a kid in like 2002, whatever that was.
I'm not going to argue that the Star Wars timeline has always been perfect.
No. I'm just saying when they release the movies, because they go back and they've shown us us where Boba Fett came from. They showed him as a kid.
I'm not saying that that Boba Fett is going to be a better movie than Solo, or if they make the movie or anything. I'm just saying that in my head, with the timing, the way they did it, they could have, if they want to do these spin-off movies, and if they want to do Boba Fett still, this, I think, would have been the better time to bring in that movie and then do Solo later. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying instead of Solo or that Solo should have been made. Not at all. I just don't think the timing was right with it. That's my feel. Well,
you're wrong, but no, I'm just kidding. But the Boba Fett one messes me up because they've talked about that actually being in the mix. It's not confirmed 100% that it's a go, but they talked about it being in the mix, and to me, it just doesn't seem like he's a guy who should have his own movie, especially because
pick whatever character. I'm a big Boba Fett fan, so it wasn't that it has to be Boba Fett. Pick anybody else that you think should have their own movie.
But you like Boba Fett because he looked cool, he had cool gear, but he really wasn't in the movie that much, and then he died in a fucking stupid way.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's what I thought is cool about Boba Fett is the people that do like him, we've made it up in our heads who he was. It's not from what you saw on the screen. But if you don't like Boba Fett and don't think he should have his own movie, scratch that I even brought up Boba Fett. Put whoever you think should have their own movie, freaking C-3PO or the droids or whoever. I think that movie should have come out
before Solo.
And
because
of what happened with Han Solo.
And again, two things. One, you're speaking on this without having seen the movie, so you really don't know.
I know that I think it should have come out. Yeah, no, I do know that I think it should have come out later.
Wait till you see the movie. I think you're going to enjoy it. And number two...
Wait. Hold on. I will say again, I said in the beginning, I know I'm going to like the movie. It's not about liking the movie or if it's a good movie. It's about when they released the movie and what went on.
Is that going to affect your ability to enjoy the movie?
Not at all. No, okay. Not at all.
Because you're so hung up on it being Boba Fett next. You're so hung up on that.
I actually want it to be Salacious Crumb. I want him to get his own movie.
What about Kenobi?
They're
talking about doing a Kenobi movie.
Yeah, that would have made more sense to me.
Because there's some gap there. I mean, they've covered a lot of his life, but there is a gap there between.
That would have made more sense to me.
And I think they should do that. I think that would still be good because I think he was one of the few bright spots of those prequels.
I think Jar Jar Binks movie.
What's that?
Huh? Nothing.
You didn't say Jar Jar Binks, did you?
Of course I did. No, but
don't.
So that is my theory. I also think that they're going to run the risk of I don't know if I want to say cheapening, but they have to make, I think, better decisions on how they release these movies going forward.
And so you're hung up on the how and the when and all that of they release these stories. You're not averse to them making all these movies. Nope. You're concerned about the way they release them and when. Yeah,
I mean, I'm concerned about them making them if they start screwing them up. Like, I'm not concerned about Solo being a bad movie. I don't think that's why it's not doing as well. I think it is, and I haven't even seen it, but just being a Star Wars fan, I know I'm going to like it. I'm a huge Chewbacca fan. I'm a huge Lando fan.
Yeah.
So I'm all over it.
Yeah.
But I know for me, after seeing that scene, I didn't want to see the Solo movie right away.
Which scene? Sorry.
Han Solo dying.
Oh, that scene. Sorry, gotcha.
And that's really the only reason I haven't went to go see it, because I'm like, there's something that just doesn't feel right about seeing that yet for me. So that's my theory on it. Again, not anything to do with the movie itself.
And I'll say this, just one thing I'll say, and we can move on from the Solo piece. I did want to mention a couple other things, but that is, don't get hung up on Harrison Ford as Han Solo, because I think that a lot of people do. And I think a lot of people went in going, this guy isn't Harrison Ford. This guy can't be Harrison Ford. He's not trying to be Harrison motherfucking Ford. He's trying to be Han Solo. They are two separate people. Yes, Harrison Ford is who you think of because he's the one who made that character what it is. But even he told Aaron Reich, like, this is your own character. I can give you a couple tips, but otherwise, like, make this your own fucking thing. And I think he did a great job.
I heard he does a great job.
He does.
That's the other thing in the timing is that we just saw Harrison Ford play this part. We just saw him. So there isn't time to go like, oh yeah, I guess, you don't, I mean, if they did Kenobi and aside from freaking Ewan McGregor.
Right. Because Alec Guinness died many years ago.
Right. So if they do a younger Kenobi, you're not going to sit there and go, oh, we just saw someone else do it. And not only someone else, we just saw the dude that made the freaking part world famous. Intergalactically, planetary,
intergalactically,
planetary, intergalactic.
Mm-hmm.
Another dimension. So for me, I mean, because I feel that way, that's I think why it didn't get all crazy. It's hard. The fucking guy just played the part. Oh, now we're going to see this other guy play the part.
I understand. I guess I'm just able to separate those two without any trouble. And obviously you're not. So that's where it's going to hold you up a little bit. So, okay, that's fair. Two other things I want to say. One is, are there other characters that you think that they should go after with this? I mean, I'm not going to go back to Boba Fett because I'm just fucking with you on that. But obviously Kenobi makes sense. There are some others. One that I think a lot of people would wonder if they should try is Leia. But if you were going to do Leia, you'd have to go way young. Like you'd have to go back into like her early to mid teens because she was really young when she started.
It would have to be like, the separation of her and Luke and all that. You'd almost have to do a Leia Luke timeline, maybe timeline together. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. But
probably not. I don't know that you're going to replace Luke either. I don't think they can touch either.
I don't think they do Leia or Luke. Yeah, I don't think they do Leia or Luke. I think you could, depending how you wanted to do it, maybe do a droid movie.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but I don't know if that would work either.
You can't do a droid movie. That would not work. No offense to the droids, but the droids are
I don't know because after that, I don't think you really from those.
Well, I think you start to get into some of the other stuff that we saw in like the Star Wars Rebels cartoon and things like that, where there's characters that have not necessarily been on the big screen, but that could be covered. Because I could see them doing.
Yeah, if you start doing separate missions and separate part in the greater Star Wars universe, then I could see where you're including these characters, and so people can go, "Oh, that was the person that was also, or the thing that was also in."
I think you have that, and then I think you also have even the deeper stuff that they still consider canon. That's some of these books that none of us even know about because I never read any of those books. I only know really just like one or two of the cartoons and then the movies, and that's it. But there's a lot of material to be covered there. So are you more excited about that? Like Rian Johnson's doing a whole trilogy coming up, and it's going to be completely different from the Skywalker kind of saga, which when I was on the 2-on-3 pod, episode 25, Chris's point when he talks about Star Wars is a Skywalker story. Yeah. So you shouldn't expand out to all these different things. But my point is that's just the start. That's where we started with this story. It doesn't mean that the universe can't be expanded on and all these different stories can be covered that are all in parallel or in the past or in the future from that timeline.
Right. I agree with both of you. I think Star Wars, to me, my Star Wars will always be a Skywalker story. And that's it. But with that said, you can also expand on that and kind of still have it in that Star Wars title, but make it clear that this is just in that in a galaxy far, far away.
Well, right. I don't think you're going to still call it Star Wars episode whatever.
28.
It's going to be its own thing. Right. It's going to be a Star Wars story.
But it's not going to hold the same place in my heart that like...
Well, that's a nostalgia thing.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, and also they were excellent films, but yes, it's a huge nostalgia thing. So
but then they have to be careful that if they're just making another space fighting movie that doesn't tie into any nostalgia for people, it's got to be really, really good and introduce some really, really good characters.
Well, I think you're still going to get nostalgic bits because of the feel of those movies, because there's a feel to it. You see those stormtroopers, you see these characters, you see those weapons, the sounds. All those things come together, and it puts you back in that Star Wars place, much like Rogue One was.
Take away, yeah, but Rogue One was also put into the excitement of we have these. We're not done with the Skywalker
What in the
story yet.
fuck is going on over there? We got chainsaws, we got dogs. What's going on?
They're huge Skywalker fans.
Oh my God.
Very upset about what you just said. Yeah, I just think I can see where it would lose some luster for people, and all of a sudden it would just be a space cowboy show, and it's like, oh, this isn't Star Wars.
So you're worried more about it venturing too far off the path of what we know as Star Wars versus like oversaturation of too many stories. Because that was one of the questions I brought up to Chris and Ty when I was on their show. Is I'm not a huge Marvel guy, but the Marvel universe is big, and there's so many characters, and they're constantly jumping around to different characters. They're showing origin stories of those characters, and they try to kind of tie them back together and mix them all together. So that is something that I think Star Wars is probably looking at as a model to say we can tell all these different stories that have some overlap and a general feel to them that are the same, but they're still their own new stories to tell. And for me, that's exciting because I would like to see a lot more of those stories.
Yeah, but it's not the same as Marvel and Marvel's universe, because Marvel's universe had all these characters that have their own stories too, where Star Wars doesn't have that many main characters.
Well, it doesn't unless
Marvel can keep introducing freaking new people for decades.
Well, but I think that it's not as vast.
They're gonna.
It's not as vast, but the books, like I'm saying, that we don't read, have a lot of fucking characters that we just don't even know about.
Right, but even those of us who weren't huge into comic books have heard of Captain America. Iron
I've
Man,
heard of maybe
Spider-Man.
Some of them, yes, but not all.
Right.
Like when some of those people that were Infinity War, I was like, I don't know who the fuck these people are. Like I bet you at least a third of the people in that movie, I had no clue who they were.
But more people will know in just name recognition. There are more characters that Marvel can do than Star Wars could ever do, including the books. Because you can name a bunch of people from the cartoons. What were they called? I want to keep saying Clash of the Titans.
The Clone Wars?
Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And I freaking won't know any of them. And
right,
I can go to my parents right now and I can say, have you heard of Skippy Dippy from the Clone Wars? Or have you ever heard of Spider-Man?
Well, sure, but that's not a fair comparison.
That's what I'm saying is Marvel has this.
But that's not like saying Spider-Man. You would have to dig deeper and be like Vision. Like I didn't know who the fuck Vision was.
No, but they're introducing Vision because of his tie to these other things, but there's no Vision movie. Vision was part of the movie.
Oh, he was always just an extra part of the movie?
Yeah.
I guess so. I don't know.
So that's all I'm just thinking that for people that really don't follow Star Wars, and we are two of them because we don't know the books or the cartoons.
I know the cartoons and the movies. I don't know the books.
They could come out tomorrow and say, "Oh, Star Wars story starring frickin' Brandon von Brandenburg, who's the head pilot of
sounds good.
Rogue 3.
Let's watch it."
And we'd be like, "Oh, that sounds cool," but I have no idea who that is. There's nothing tying.
You don't know about Brandon von Brandenburg?
Do not.
Fucking guy's a legend.
He called his plane the Flying Pickle. I mean, come on.
Sure, maybe.
Okay, sure. But again, I am a Star Wars fan. I'm just saying that I can see it. I can see it losing.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
It's base with people like me, and I can see it not being exciting enough to grab new people because now it's just a space pirate movie.
So first of all, I think wrong, fake news. But
right.
One, I think they will be able to grab people because of two reasons. One, you got the feel that parent age people recognize.
Then
why
didn't
the kids
Solo
all
do
eat
better?
that shit up?
Then why didn't Solo do better?
I think Solo got shat on mainly because people were so pissed off about Last Jedi. I think people were so mad about that fucking movie that they just got all bent out of shape about seeing Solo. It's that plus there is a factor to what you said about why are you trying to put this other guy in this role that was Harrison Ford's role
right now. I think of it, like I said, I think the Solo movie is a good movie to make.
You just think there wasn't enough separation?
I just think Solo just fucking died.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
Just my thought.
All right.
And frickin' Vandy von Vandenberg or
Brandon von Brandenburg.
Thank you. Brandon von Brandenburg. They should have made his story.
They're going to. That's the thing is they're going to make all these stories, and that's what I'm excited about is you get to see all these new, like they're doing, Jon Favreau is doing a live action
Boba
TV
Fett.
show. Huh?
He's doing Boba Fett.
No, he's doing a live action TV show that's going to be on the Disney Network, which I'm real interested to see how they, what they do with that. Ryan Johnson's doing a whole new trilogy. Those Game of Thrones dudes are doing a whole new trilogy. There's a bunch of fucking movies coming out and shows. Yeah. So there's a lot.
Well, there were until Solo came out.
God damn it. Annalise, is she home?
She is.
Get her in there and just have her pin your face against the desk.
Set me straight.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, all right. So the bottom line is I'm right, you're wrong. You are being very judgmental and don't know what you're talking about. I think they should continue to churn them out. I think that people feeling like, oh, they've got Star Wars fatigue is a bunch of bullshit. Because like I said,
I'm getting Marvel fatigue. I'll tell you
Marvel puts out 4 fucking movies a year. Star Wars, for the first time in forever, puts out 2 movies in 6 months, and people are saying it's fatigue. I don't think so. I think it has more to do with people being pissed about Last Jedi.
What are they pissed about? I didn't know people are pissed. Who's pissed?
Because there were some parts of that movie that a lot of people had issues with, and I understand
the flying.
There
monkey?
Could be that is one of them. Yes,
right.
The way the Luke situation was handled
the way
was
he
another.
Died? Yeah,
dude. The way he died, and also I think where he was in life, I think also was a little bit. People were a little bit kind of like, but. Yeah. I wasn't upset about that.
I think they could have. I think where he was in life would have been settled a little better had he not died. If he kind of came out of that.
Well, I think there's a lot more he could have done in 9. I think 9 was meant to be. I mean, let's be real. It's clear what happened.
Let's be real.
7 was Solo. 8 was Luke. 9 was going to be Leia. And then she fucking died. And so now they. But what are you going to do in 9? I'm really anxious to see what they do because J.J. Abrams is like. So I did 7, and I turned over all these like open-ended plot lines for you and handed you this movie where Luke is standing there. You see him for the first time, and then what'd you do with this movie?
yeah,
because it's a total departure. I think that's another fair critique is that people are like, oh, it's cool because it's so unexpected. Some of the things that happen. It's like, yeah, but it's so vastly different.
It went from a bunch
7 to 8
of hope. It went from like, oh my God, things are going to get better to. Everyone's dead? Well,
but and people say Empire wasn't well received when it first came out, and it had a lot of the similar gripes to it, that it was like way darker and all that stuff. But
Empire's one of my favorites.
To me, it just felt like those two movies are better connected than 7 and 8 were. 7 and 8 felt like very, very, very different tracks.
I will agree that I was bummed that Luke died. I didn't think that needed to happen. Han dying, totally cool with.
Oh, he wanted to die in Return of the Jedi.
He wanted to die was no surprise. In A New Hope.
Well, yeah, he did. He wanted to kill that character. All that dude's doing is coming back to kill off his characters.
That's all he does. Regarding Henry, totally took the wrong turn. He thought the beginning was the end. He's like, it's done.
This is great. I only had to film like 5 minutes. This is awesome. Let's do this.
I got to be a rich jerk. Bought some Ritz crackers. Had an affair.
Presumed innocent. I'm the one that gets murdered, right? Oh shit! I'm not.
God
damn it!
Okay. Damn it!
Well, I guess I'll do this movie then.
Yeah.
Well, then we can move on from Star Wars. But I was just curious about your beef.
Yeah, it's not a beef. I just
you don't like Star Wars beef.
I don't have
because you're not eating beef. You would struggle, I think, eating.
I'm having Star Wars fish.
You'd love that breast milk, though.
Probably
that green milk that Luke sucks out right out of the teat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so wildest summer flings in 6 words.
All right.
You ready for this?
Yep.
Y'all ready for this? Okay. Greg.
There's got to be an in my parents' car or in my parents' something.
I can't remember if there's a parents thing. There might be, but there's a lot of...
Or childhood, like childhood home, childhood
There's
vagina.
That kind of stuff. There's a lot of travel as well.
Okay. All right.
Greg met her on a dating app. That's crazy, Greg. You met a girl on a dating app?
Whatever, Greg. You're done.
What the fuck? I just love that they start with that one.
Yeah.
Don't even include that one.
Yeah.
Cat 24, 18-year-old tour guide, Argentina. Oh shit! I heard Argentinian guys are real easy.
That's right, they are. Easy to make you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Go for it,
Next up is David 39 says, got blowjob while on birthright trip.
Birthright?
The hell's his birthright trip? Is he going to like
Is he
claim
going
his
back up
kingdom?
the canal? Yeah. Birthright.
Got a BJ on the way.
That's interesting. From his mom?
Oh, just reminded me of the scene in Coming to America. The royal penis is clean, Your Highness. Tara26 says, sexy week-long romance in Malta. What is up with all the show-off, like, hey, look at me, look where I went.
For sure. And you know it wasn't. They were just making it up. They're like, I shouldn't say Australia. That's a little... But Malta's good.
Malta sounds legit.
Niagara Falls, right?
Yeah.
That's 2 words. Forget it.
Todd38 says, kissed cute fellas at church camp. Fellas?
Get after it, Todd. I like that it's a church camp, too. All the guys were happy. They're like, oh, this is a sleepover camp? Finally. Gonna get some.
I did like that he called it fellas, too.
Yeah.
Because for me, it would be gals, of course.
That's right. Right.
Jared25. Oh, God, I hope it's not the Subway guy.
Could be.
Jared stuck my dick in a 6-long foot. No. Fucked a waiter in Spain. Bienvenidos.
That's great.
Oh my God, I love that one. Tasha24, it happened in Greece. Parthenon committal. Okay, with the dad jokes,
yeah,
Tasha.
That's Tosh. Yeah.
Parthenon committal. That sounds just like you have a list.
You were the ugly duckling that found a warm place for the night. Come on, Tasha. Not with those jokes.
So I'm telling you, there's so many of these goddamn... See, Senor Frog's bartender in Puerto Vallarta. Caitlin, 31. Pretty sure everybody banged the Senor Frog's bartender. I don't think this is...
Yeah.
I don't think this is special at all.
And he was 68. So
that guy must be like, you know how many tourists I've just... Yeah. Alice, 35, had sex in a porn theater. That has got to just skeeve you beyond belief.
I would think.
I
would think you both...
You're a germ freak.
Yeah.
Oh, you would never do this.
I would not have sex in a porn theater.
No, that would be the most disgusting place on earth for you. I don't think that's a good idea for you at all.
No.
Don't do it.
No, don't do it. Whew, thank God. I was just about to.
Another thing kind of along those lines, Jill, 32, said got it on behind a dumpster. Real classy, Jill. That's going to be gross, though. It's too many dirt, too
and this
dirty.
Is summer fling, right?
Summer. So that's hot garbage.
Yeah, it's hot. That is exactly what that is. Yeah.
Oh, rough. Laura, 35, secretly dated dad's friend one summer. Gross.
Ugh.
That's disgusting. I want to know what the age gap was. Ew.
Well, even if dad had her when she was 20 and it's a young... Well, it could have been like a 10-year... A guy who was 10 years older.
I guess they could have been friends, but he was a younger friend. Yeah. Still, though.
And when she says friends, the friends in quote, like dad was banging this dude too?
No, but that would have been even better.
That's right.
Still my dad's lover.
Yeah.
Kelly, 28, love triangle, 2 hot Spanish guys. And that makes me ask, is that Spanish from Spain?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
I love when you say that. By the way, I think we have decided we will finally do our swabs this week.
What the hell does that mean?
DNA stuff.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wait a minute. What are you doing? All right.
So when I get that back, I will share it. But I want you to reshare yours because I can't remember all the details of yours other than you're 7% Jewish. That's about all I remember.
Right.
And you're like a lot of Greek or something.
Yeah.
Heather, 33.
Yep.
Met at barbecue, fucked until morning.
That's pretty good.
That sounds exhausting, Heather.
Yeah, but like sometimes I'm at a barbecue and someone brings their dog. So who knows what she was. She didn't say like,
that's true.
Met guy at barbecue, met girl at barbecue, just met at barbecue.
That's true. That's a good point. It just
Come
sounds...
here, Zero.
It sounds a little braggy for sure. Like, dude, all night long.
Yeah.
All night.
But then again, it might have been like the barbecue started at 8. They were hanging out and drinking and dancing till 3. And she had to leave.
So it was really only like
2
2 hours.
Yeah.
Mike, 34, a passionate whirlwind romance with pizza. What?
He screwed a pizza?
I don't understand what that means, Mike.
That's
what it sounds like, and I don't think he understands how he worded it.
Right.
I think he thinks it's like, yeah, we had pizza.
We had a bunch of sex and pizza, and it was great.
That's what it sounds like.
He had sex with pizza.
You know what, Mike? Maybe try a donut next time. Makes more sense.
That's right.
Rachel, 31, kissed friend's brother while visiting Brazil. You know, the world travel brags. Just keep going.
And I'm wondering, like, does she live in Brazil and the friend's brother was in Brazil visiting, or was she visiting
friend's
Brazil?
Brother while visiting Brazil. She was visiting Brazil.
Okay. Because it could also be that the brother was visiting Brazil and she's a Brazilian.
No, I think she's saying that she was visiting Brazil and kissed her friend's brother there. And all she did was kiss him? That's all you got? That's your wildest fling?
He was. That's as crazy as I get.
You're 31. She should meet Greg, the dating app guy.
No, if it was winter, things would have gotten a little crazier. If it's summer, that's all I do.
Exactly. I got a few more. Taylor,
she didn't
37.
want any sweaty balls hanging on her head.
Taylor, 37. Miami, made out with Uber driver.
Oh, God.
That sounds pretty desperate. I mean, that's like you had a long night and you're like, you know what? You're pretty cute.
It sounds desperate for the Uber driver, too. Like,
pull over. Oh, don't you think that's happened a ton of times, though?
Oh, really? With Uber drivers?
I don't know.
Like just a hookup? Like, I'm back here. Like, hey, what are you doing? Oh,
yeah, and either way, female or male Uber driver, like.
No,
I'm sure it's happened.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's happened. Liv, 32, handsome Dutch guy, summer of 69. Wait a minute. You had sex with Bryan Adams? Or
I was gonna say, does she sing the song to him?
Because she's 32.
Yeah.
So what is that? Is she just saying that that's the position?
I don't know.
Is she saying that they did it to the song?
Or he sang it to her?
Or was it? Or he sang it to her? Or it was Bryan Adams, which is really gross because Bryan Adams is way older.
My first real 6-string.
Finally, Kate, 29. I'm an actress. Screw the director. Hey. In the words of Neil, times are hard. People forget.
That's right. Good for you, Kate.
And by the way, you wouldn't be the first.
That's right.
So
Harvey Weinstein.
Oh God, let's not get into that. Well, that's about it. Thanks for listening to our show. I did want to point out that next week and the week after, you will not be here.
No, I will not, Matt. I will be rocking in the free world.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Seeing shows for free and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing music, hearing music.
Both.
Seeing performers perform music for free.
I will be seeing. I've been watching musicians or those quote unquote musicians performing as well as acting.
Better or worse than me as a musician?
Some of them will be worse, guaranteed.
And I shouldn't say for free. You get paid.
That's right. I'm gonna get paid.
So really, you're a professional music listener.
I am a professional music listener. I like that.
Anyway, we will be have a couple different guest hosts over the next couple weeks. One who has been on the show before.
Did you say
one
guest hosts?
Hosts, not hosts.
Oh, okay. All right.
God, your mind's always in the garden, isn't it?
It's always, it's always slapping a cornhole.
You're so worried about all those weeds you got to pull next week and leaves you got to rake.
That's right.
Anyway, so please tune in for that. We got a couple special guests coming up the next couple of weeks, and then Neil will be back in a few weeks or whatever, 3 weeks, I guess.
Or whenever if he's back. Who knows? We don't know what he's doing. Yeah.
He might go. He might become a roadie and leave.
This might be a trial basis for a new host.
I look forward to all your stories about white guys when you return.
Oh, there's a lot of them there. I'll tell you that.
I bet.
It's almost like a Dave Matthews concert.
Music festival, white guys everywhere.
Jesus.
Thank you very much for listening. You can find us at reasonsareseveral.com. Please go subscribe to our show and write a review, tell a friend, all that stuff. You can tweet at us at reasonsare and at angelsfreak7, and you can email us at reasonsareseveral@gmail.com. We'll be back next week with a surprise, fun, special guest. Bye, Neil.
Party like your petunia has a pinata in it.
Fuck yeah.